Welcome to UCB TV. I'm Amy Rolls and today's guest is someone we all know well. He works tirelessly for our industry, lobbying government on our behalf, and someone we have had on UCB TV before. McKenzie, CEO of ACAPMA. Mark is a professional with more than 30 years business and public affairs experience. Prior to joining ACAPMA in February 2015, Mark held a variety of senior roles in the Australian corporate, small business and not-for-profit sectors. Welcome Mark and thank you for joining me today. ACAPMA has been front and centre in 2020 as a valuable resource and advocate for delivering clarity on a myriad of COVID rules for UCB members and the convenience industry in general. From an overall convenience industry viewpoint, how would you rate the response to COVID?
G'day Amy, it's great to be with you and the UCB team again today just to sort of talk through, I suppose, end of year reflections. Look, from a whole of convenience industry perspective, I suppose there's really two things that stand out. The first is that we became, I think, for a lot of people, an essential service in terms of supporting the movement of freight and goods and services, which is our normal task. But more importantly, providing a safe haven for people who really wanted to steer away from large format supermarkets and other stores to provide small format, very convenient locations where people could duck in and out in a COVID safe environment and purchase their goods. I think from a government perspective, what they saw was that we operated as an industry where we only had 2 COVID cases for the entire period of the infection. And so as a result, we certainly developed a reputation of being able to be trusted to operate our stores in a COVID safe manner. And that's a real positive. And there's not a lot of industries that can actually boast that, having been operating throughout the infection period.
Forecourt retailing has grown in quality and professionalism over the past 20 years in Australia. Today, many independent retailers have offers that are the envy of many. Do you see this trend continuing in Australia?
Yeah, forecourt retailing certainly has grown. I think there's been a concept here that people have been spending a lot of time and a lot of money on developing their concepts. And I'd agree with you that I think our industry is very much at the leading edge of a lot of that. Interestingly, what COVID has actually done for us is redefine our relationship with our customers, particularly in suburban and regional locations. We got a lot of feedback through COVID that people were walking into stores and actually discovering that things weren't as expensive as they had originally envisaged. Sure, you can still buy the $7 pack of Tim Tams, but they're able to get their essentials at quite reasonable prices. And we were getting feedback about, particularly from politicians and from media outlets. We had some talkback conversation where the response was almost a surprise, as if, well, they didn't know that we did fresh food. They didn't know we did prepared food offerings. So from my perspective, I think COVID probably has created an opportunity to reset the perceptions of the public about our industry, particularly in terms of the convenience space. And my sense here is that these convenience trends are going to continue. And COVID in particular has led to people rediscovering their local communities and the shops within their local communities. And I think the petrol convenience store is chief amongst those. And therefore, I would expect to see those trends continue into the next 10 to 15 years.
2020 is almost over. And whilst we don't wish time away, many are looking forward to 2021. What are your plans for ACAPMA in 2021?
2021, well, look, I suppose I'd be saying just a rest, but seriously, I think the key issue we're gearing up with is about this last year, we started to see a whole series of issues with bushfires and large-scale community impact, communities being locked down. We're preparing for that again. It's almost as if that's a distant memory, but certainly at the start of this year, we were working with government around issues about how service stations need to be supported through those disasters. And we've been actively engaged in those conversations in recent weeks. So I suppose we're bracing for the fact that we may see a third hit, if I can put that way, behind the bushfires and floods of last year, then COVID, and potentially going into a challenge here that we're not resting at the start of 2021, and we'll be working with government on the issues associated with maintaining services in the face of bushfires. And once again, that's been an area where our industry has been outstanding, and certainly all the members that are listening to this have played their role in supporting their communities through those processes. Our core challenge, though, in 2021 will be to realise that the infection hasn't gone away, COVID hasn't gone away just because it's turned the 1st of January. If we have a look at what's happening overseas, we are seeing a number of economies go back into lockdown. And I suppose there's a real sense that we may not have a vaccine, say, in the first quarter of next year. And so to that end, it's vital that governments start to adopt consistent strategic practices in relation to borders, in relation to lockdowns. And so from that perspective, we'll start the conversation early next year with governments around ensuring consistency in that process. And I suppose the big thing we'll be looking forward to is, just like everybody else, we put up our conference this year. We're scheduled our conference for late October next year. And our goal basically will be to partner with industry and partner with our members. And it's just create a genuine event where people can let their hair down. It's been a pretty tough time for everybody, and particularly those that own and operate a business. The key challenge has been managing, I suppose, what I'd call unprecedented uncertainty as opposed to normal uncertainty. And within that context, I suppose one of the things we'll be seeking to do next year is really just create an event that's a bit of a celebration. And the goal will be to work with all our members and work with the industry, between the industry and government, to actually make sure that if we get a second wave, that we're as prepared as we can be. Thanks, Amy. It's been a great pleasure to be with you, and I wish you, the UCB team, Darren Park and all the team, and all the UCB members a very productive and busy commercial Christmas. And I hope you all get a bit of a chance to spend a bit of time with your family and friends after a very difficult year. Stay safe.
Mark, on behalf of our members and trade partners, thank you for sharing your time with us. You have so much to share and have no doubt you will be joining us again soon on UCB TV. Thank you for joining us today, and make sure you jump on into the virtual trade show for some great bargains. I'm Amy Rolls, UCB TV.